Hey guys, this is Dinosaur Drawer and this is the second part on how to draw the Therizinosaurus. And um, I don't really remember the name, but the same person that requested me to draw the Spinosaurus versus T-Rex asked me to do a video on how to detail your dinosaurs. And I'm pretty sure that I already got one video out there on how to do detail on your dinosaurs, but um, it was not really advanced. So I'm gonna try and do my best to teach you how you can add more detail in your drawing. Alright, so what we first want to do is draw in the muscle groups. That's what I'm recently trying to do every single time. So there's gonna be a muscle that goes like this. There's gonna be a muscle that goes like this all the way to his hip bone, and then there will be a muscle like this over here, and a couple small muscles that will be coming from this area like this, and they kind of almost look like they are the ribs, but they are not ribs. And then over here there would be a couple of muscles overlapping each other like so. And then basically there's a very big, huge muscle over there which goes all the way down until we are at this area, kind of goes underneath this muscle, and it also goes from here all the way underneath this muscle like that. We do have a couple of more muscles over here as well, and normally these muscles are shorter, depends on how long the neck actually is. Then we have a couple of muscles that come from this area, one that goes like this and one that goes like this, and it goes all the way until the tip of his tail. And same for over here. So the reason why we're drawing in the muscles first is so that we can actually see where we have to put in a little bit of shadow. So this muscle actually goes on, and there is a little bit of a indentation over here, and that one goes all the way through to the rest of his body. Now we want to get a little bit of muscles in there, so there's going to be one huge muscle over there, still the same muscle over here, and this muscle connects to his knee, and then this muscle kind of does the same, and it connects to the hip area over here, and this muscle is just there, not much to do about it. Then there's one big muscle over here, and this muscle goes on until somewhere over here, and then one muscle again like this going into his toes, and then this muscle over here. I'm gonna do the same thing on the second foot. This muscle goes all the way through until down there, and then another one goes like this to his toes, and then that one. Okay, and now for his muscles on his arms, there's one big muscle right here which goes underneath this muscle, and then there's a muscle over here that kind of connects to his elbow, and this muscle is also there. And the only thing we have to do is draw two muscles over here and one over there. So now that we have the muscles in, we have to pay attention to the way that the sun reflects light on his body, and the shadow will be at the areas where the sun can't come, where there's no sun. So we're gonna start with doing the darkest areas, which are basically the areas underneath his body. These areas will be the darkest. But make sure to leave those highlights. So you don't really have to put that much detail into your dinosaur. If you're drawing at small scale like what I'm doing now, well, it's not small scale, but it's not extremely big. For example, the neck is very slender and long, so it's not really possible to put too much nice looking details there, for me at least, not at my skill level. And so that's gonna be if you wanna get more details into your drawing, just draw it bigger, draw it at a different pose and make it look bigger. That way you get a lot more details done. Okay, and there's also going to be a little bit of shadow, not too much, not very dark, but just a little bit of shadow over here on the top of his body, because there's still an indentation for the muscles, so there will still be a little bit of shadow. So basically what I'm gonna do now is draw a couple of lines, kind of attached to the lighter areas, so that it won't look like it's just a black line. It's more like it makes it fade a little bit into the light, which makes it look a little bit more like a shadow. And I feel like there are a lot more darker areas, so I'm darkening this just a little bit more. Alright, and now I want to do the same thing with this muscle over here. So these lines, you could actually draw them in such a way that they still kind of resemble detail, and that it still looks like there are wrinkles and rimples and everything on his body. Alright, and now we can move on to the other cast shadows. So this area is going to be extremely dark, because his body is basically round. So for example, if you draw a couple of lines to how round his body will be, then this area will catch a lot of light, but everything below this area will be very dark. Same goes for this area. Alright, so this area is going to be very dark, so that's why you don't really see too much of those belly muscles. So you could draw with more of a detail version, but if you want to draw more detail, you have to put the shadow area at a different, the light source at a different location, for example from beneath, or maybe from the side, or from in front of it. Alright, so basically we're gonna do the same thing now again. these lines are going to be a slightly bit longer. And we also want to get a little bit of shadow over here. And also draw a couple of lines from over there. And yeah, some areas look a little darker than other areas, but later on it's not gonna bother too much anymore. So now we want to draw these tiny muscles over here as well. And I'm gonna make it so that it kind of connects to each other, kind of have a connection at some point. And now I wanna make it look more like a three-dimensional object. So as you can see, you're adding a lot of shadow into your drawing, but if you still leave the right highlights to be there, it will still look realistic. And it will still look detailed. So there's also going to be one indentation over here at this area. So I'm also going to be trying to draw that in, but it's not going to be as dark like I said before. Because it's at the lighter area of the dinosaur. Okay, so for his arm, I want to leave a highlight and on the outsides of his arm, but there's going to be a lot of shadow over here because of the way that the muscle works. And then it kind of goes like that, and then there's going to be a lot of shadow between those muscles, but not too much on top. But there is going to be a little bit on the bottom of his arm and also his elbow over there. Alright, and I want to make a couple of lines like those, and a couple of them going like this. Alright, I don't want to go into his hand just yet. I first want to go further into this area of his body. But basically what you can do, and this is again for the detailing of your dinosaur, what you can do is at those areas where I put those lines in, you could have gone for scales instead of those lines, because it will still look pretty okay. And if you want to put scales on your dinosaur, for example, what I like to do is, I'm just gonna quickly, well no, let's not quickly draw the head. I'll use this sketch. So what you can do, for example, is draw a couple of dark circles, dark spots everywhere around the eye of the dinosaur, as long as you're doing this at the dark areas. So his eye would be about over there, and then you just put a lot of scales around it. And like I said, as long as you will be doing this at the darker areas, everything will be alright, and you can just leave the highlights as light as you can. But this is basically the way that I used to draw scales and stuff. Let's see if you can see a little bit better. So yeah, but I'm not gonna be doing that on this particular drawing. I think I'm gonna do a different video completely on how to render and how to detail everything. Because I don't think I can cover it too much with this drawing style and the way that I'm drawing right now. I want to get a little bit more shadow down here. And also over here a little bit more. And you might be hearing the wind outside because it's storming outside. So I'm sorry if it's bothering you, but I can't help it for now. Alright. Probably shouldn't have done these muscles. Probably should have just stick to this single muscle and then a muscle over here and over there. But yeah, we'll have to deal with this. So now for these muscles, around the knee area there would be a lot of shadow over here. And then there would be a lot of shadow over here as well, but not on his knee. And there would be basically an indentation over here as well, but that's not gonna be too dark. Just a little bit of shadow over there, just a tiny little bit, and a lot of shadow actually over here, but I don't want to go over this line yet because I want to leave the highlights. So that's probably the darkest area of his leg. Alright. So now get those lines in and make it look like it is fading into the light areas. And this is a pretty hard thing to do on his leg, because I don't want to keep it too light, but I also don't want to make it too dark. So now for this muscle, which is very dark at this point because there's a lot of sunlight being blocked by the rest of his leg, but still there would be a bit of sunlight able to hit the muscles and reflect sunlight on it. And do the same thing over here, like that. And his lower area of his leg, his legs, would be very, very dark because it's basically underneath at the, well, actually at the area where the shadow would be cast on the ground, so it's not going to be too much light at that area. And this would be completely darkened in. Alright, just like that. So I'm just randomly moving on to his tail, apparently. But yeah, we're gonna do his tail first before we're going to go into his feet. And there's gonna be a shadow like this, because this would be the underside of his tail, so there won't be a lot of sunlight coming there. Be able to get through. And over here as well. And this area could be very dark, but make sure you leave your highlights, because if you don't, it will just look silly. Will look a little bit different than the way it would be supposed to. It would supposed to look. Sorry. So now trying to get those lines in and make it look like it is fading into the light. And the detail areas, I am always trash at it. Because I can never get it right at those areas. Not sure why. Okay, so now for this muscle again. You have a little bit of an indentation over here as well, so drawing that in. And now trying to get the basic shadow for this muscle, which won't be too much, just a little bit. And don't make it too dark either. Alright, and then get those curved lines in there again, so that it looks a little bit more detailed. Alright, just going over it one more time. To not make it look so messy. Alright. So now we can go over to his feet. And for his feet we just draw in the areas where his nails would be attached. Then we draw a couple of scales right there, just like a chicken feet. Something like that. And then in between the toes you just draw a lot of shadow, so it is clear where the toes separate from each other. And then this would be shadowed in a little bit at the under area. Alright, and now for the other toe. I actually did this a little bit too dark. So maybe I can just color in his toes a little, his nails a little, but I do want to leave a highlight. We have 5 minutes to do this, this, and this. I think we'll be fine. Alright. So there's basically gonna be a whole lot of shadow over here. And also over here. And over here as well. But there won't be too much shadow at this area. And then those lines like that. This area will be a little bit darkened, and then just do the same thing again. Draw those scales again. Dew claw would be a little dark, and a lot of shadow between the toes. And I'm gonna darken in those claws, those nails as well. Alright, so now we can do the same thing over here. Just put those scales in. And a lot of shadow between the areas where the fingers would actually attach to each other, and there won't be too much to this area, so I'll just draw a couple of dark circles at the areas where the muscles would be located, and you can draw a couple of scales up there, and then just draw those muscle lines over there as well. It's okay if you don't put too much detail at that area. And now, well, let's make this a little bit better visible. Get this in a little better. Over here as well. Okay, so now going into his head. A little bit of shadow at some areas. Over here it would be very dark. Around his eye, making it a little darker as well. Kind of creating an eyebrow thing over there. And something like that. Getting his face done a little bit better, and then I believe that we are probably about done at this point, which is good because we're already at about 30 minutes. So yeah, I am happy with the way the drawing turned out. So, if you liked the video, leave a like, comment below what you think about the video and the drawing in general, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button, bell, so you won't miss a single video. So yeah, this was Dinosaur Drawer, and goodbye.